Hi, this is Kian. Welcome to Floppy Friday number 48. This is a special episode because we're going to completely change track, really. We're still using old computer technology, but instead of using a Commodore 64, we're going to be going to the other side, to the dark side, if you will. We're going to start looking at the ZX Spectrum. So I grew up with the ZX Spectrum. This is not mine from when I grew up. This is actually one that was donated about maybe 9 years ago by a friend of a friend, Andrea, from Italy. So hi, Andrea, thanks a lot. Still using it, or still working. So this is a 48K Spectrum, hence episode 48. Now there's a couple of reasons for doing it this week. One is episode 48, Spectrum 48K. The other is the very unfortunate passing of Sir Clive Sinclair, who is the founder of Sinclair Research and the inventor of the pocket calculator of all things. He's a complete innovator, genius, and unfortunately has not received enough credit over the years for really helping launch this whole industry. The computing industry, software industry, etc. So many Brits of my age were, and not just Brits, but they exported at least throughout Europe. And I know that the ZX81, which we have one up here, but I'm taking it out for this. That was, I have a colleague in the US who started programming on that, for example. I think that, I don't know if it was a Timex collaboration. Anyway, it doesn't really matter too much, but essentially his impact was enormous. He also tried to launch the electric car, of course, with the C5. I actually found one on an auction site locally in Switzerland by mistake, because I was looking for Sinclair stuff, and happened to come across that, which was kind of tempting. But again, way ahead of its time. I mean, he was a genius. He was an absolute genius. And I just don't think he got enough credit. And I think that's fairly well accepted at this stage. Anyway, so he passed away. So rest in peace, Sir Clive. This is for you, and this is for all the Spectrum fans out there. I grew up playing one of these, which was a Spectrum Plus. So you can see the box here. So this is the more kind of usable keyboard version of this. The old. I mean, first of all, the ZX80 and 81 had this horrible membrane keyboard. It was upgraded to this fairly nasty kind of rubber key version. At the end of the day, the Spectrum was always an affordable computer. I mean, they did what they could to make sure that it was affordable to people. Beneath here, this rubber keyboard, I mean, it obviously reduced the cost a great deal because there were so few moving parts. There is a membrane underneath that essentially picks up keystrokes, and it was just cheap. It was just, but that put it in the hands of all the more school kids. So we'll plug it in. A few quirks. Let's see. So you can see that there's a little bit of color. It's not quite. So it's got a coax cable. Let me plug that in. Maybe that'll go a bit better. The other thing that's very annoying about the Spectrum is the the labeling of the ports on the back. So the mic port is the one that goes to the audio output, and the ear port is the one that comes in from the external device that you're using to play, the cassette recorder typically. I mean, completely backwards. I never understood that. It just made zero sense. So that's the first thing you kind of have to battle with when trying to work out how to connect your Spectrum up, is to which way around this. All right, there we go. That's looking good now. Now, of course, I don't have a cassette recorder anymore that can. I mean, I don't have any games. Well, actually, I may have a few games on cassette, particularly for the Amstrad. But for the Spectrum, I might have one or two. But essentially, I have them all in digital form, so you can download them or get them as TAP or TZX files. And so I have a few back about, in 2012 when I first got this device. I did something for my blog where I loaded a load of games, TZX games, converted them to MP3, and then put them on an iPod Photo. So again, retro tech, driving retro tech. and use the iPod Photo essentially as a cassette recorder or as a cassette player replacement. Now, fast forward to 2021, the iPod Photo is in a bin somewhere, probably, or been recycled. But now it's so what I've gone and done is just sort of using my Mac instead as a virtual cassette recorder. And just to sort of show, I did have an image. I put an image of a cassette recorder on there, so you can kind of get the feel for what it was. But I have my playlist set up of a few games. I want to take you through actually quite a few games. It could end up being quite a long episode, this one, so I apologise in advance, but it is one of those things where I just really, I know that there's a lot I want to cover. So let's already get started. So without further ado, so using the keyboard, load, question mark, quote. So the first game we're going to load, and of course you hear the loading sound straight away. One thing I did is that although the sound is coming out of the TV, now that it's all connected and working properly, I've also I also have the sound coming out of the Mac. So I set up an aggregate source, so it not only sends it out via the headphone cable, but it also sends it out. It's also coming out the Mac speakers. Doesn't really matter, but I just like the sound. This is Chucky Egg. So this is a game that was really massively influential for me, at least. I mean, again, the games that I'm going to show today are not necessarily games that everybody played, but they're games that were really meaningful to me. So Chucky Egg was really the staple or go-to game on the BBC Micro, at least at my school. So and then the BBC Micro was all through British schools. There's a massive investment in getting schools computerized in the 80s. The BBC Micro was an amazing machine, and that was the one of the key platforms of the era. And as far as I'm aware, wherever you had a BBC Micro, you had access to Chucky Egg, so we used to be able to play it at school, and it was just brilliant. I mean, it's a platform game. I'm going to play it now. It's unbelievable in the sense even 35 years on, the nearly more than that probably, the muscle memory is still there. You still have the same instincts in terms of where to jump, how to get onto ladders, where to move around. It's just an amazing thing. So in a sense, I play this way better than all the Commodore 64 games that I've been playing, which I've never really played growing up. This is one that I did play like a lot growing up. So this is quite something. Okay, Chucky Egg. So we're going to play one. So S to start. One for one player. Yep, one player. All right, perfect. So this is Chucky Egg. So let's see if I can. I did load this up yesterday. Let me see if I can remember. So 9-0 left and right, and then I think it's 1 and 2W to go up and down. Let's see. There we go. And then I think it must be M to jump. The jumping was brilliant. So there's, I mean, so the jumping was just, I don't know. Anyway, you could jump onto ladders, which is pretty awesome. The way that you do that. Let's see. So let's go back here. So you can jump, and then you could already be moving up and down as you. And it's a sort of game where, pixels matter in the sense you could kind of very much get, once you learned it, you would get into a situation where you could, you could wait somewhere and you knew that you were safe from the birds. Anyway, this is Chucky Egg. I will show the next level, which I think has some elevators, so that's kind of fun. I have lifts going up. This was very much. Oh! You see, I mistimed that slightly. So the lift had got to the top, but not quite. So that you have to kind of make, that I mistimed that. But let's do that again. All right, and then as you jump across, you can kind of get there. Anyway, brilliant game. Love this. I could play this for hours. Honestly, just fantastic. Chucky Egg. I wanted to start with this. Interestingly, I kind of chose the games and almost by chance, really, in chronological order. So this was from 1982, Chucky Egg. The next one we're going to play is Tien Nog. Now, again, Tien Nog is a game from Gargoyle Games, and I was a huge fan of Gargoyle Games. I played Tien Nog to death. Heavy on the Magic was just, I loved it, absolutely loved that game. They're generally puzzle games, like you're moving around in a world. They're kind of action adventure, I suppose you'd say, but sort of. But basically you're solving problems. Oh, just amazing stuff. So Tien Nog was really good. There was another one that came out later, which I think was a sequel to Tien Nog called Doomdark, which I have on my list, but it's not one I played growing up. I mean, a lot of the time when you were playing games growing up, it wasn't necessarily about the best games. It was more about what you had access to. At least for me, it's the games that occasionally I'd buy or be able to copy from friends, etc., or had a decent copy of. So it was really not. So again, this sampling isn't necessarily representative of the Spectrum gaming community. It's just what I had access to and what I played and what I enjoyed. So, oh dear, is this playing? Did it stall? Why would it stall? Something strange is happening. All right. Okay, I think maybe it's fine. I should just be patient. Interestingly, I know, I won't be necessarily fast forwarding all these. I will fast forward some of the longer ones because this is, I think, still reasonably short. I know this one's 5 minutes. So you know what? Let's fast forward the rest of this and then we'll play because you don't need to see absolutely everything of it loading. All right, okay. Okay, good. Let's stop that. So Tien Nog, we're going to enter it. You could save or restore games in this case. Now this is so. First of all, I've just realised I've been saying Tien Nog. I mean, I'm not a Gaelic speaker. I have no idea how you should actually say that, and of course, I'm going to be murdering, the pronunciation of various names, etc., and terms. So please, I apologise. But I grew up with this without having any knowledge of how to pronounce the words properly. So please feel free to comment and to let me know what I'm getting wrong. But just bear in mind that my 11, 12, 13-year-old self just did not have access to the sort of knowledge, and so that's what's ingrained at this stage in terms of my pronunciation. All right, Tien Nog. So the altar of the seal. So this is I want to say Cuchulainn, who's the main protagonist or player. So here, let me remember how to. Oh, so NM. Now, this is so. First of all, oh no. All right, so it crashed. All right, we'll do that. We will do that again, and I'll fast forward. So I'll have cut out the loading completely. I think there's no point fast forwarding to see something again. So we're going to enter Tien Nog. we're going to, hopefully this will last a little bit longer now, but I do think, because this has crashed a couple of times on me before, and I don't think it's, so here, I don't even know if that's visible, but I'm in the altar of the seal still. There's an axe on the floor, which I can pick up, which I think you need to do. Anyway, so then you end up coming out onto the plane, can change direction. So what was really kind of impressive, I think, at the time was the kind of like the parallax scrolling that you could see, and you end up, you know, essentially you just wander around, and you know, talking to people. I think there are the she, which again I think that's one term that I got right. Let's see, enter. Let's see. Oh, you see, there's a bug. Definitely, there's some quirkiness with either this version or with the anyway the way it loads. But this is a game I used to absolutely adore. So it's probably going to go down again very soon. But we'll move on. But if you do get the chance, check out the any games by Gargoyle. They are just sensational. You know, I you know, this for me was really brilliant stuff. You know, I used to so enjoy playing these games. Anyway, Tunanog, if you remember it, if you played Heavy on the Magic or Doomdark, then please, you know, let me know. Moving on. So moving on, next we're gonna start over. Incidentally, a couple more things about the Spectrum. So there was no power cycling button, as it were. There was on the Spectrum Plus, which was a welcome addition. The fact that you could, you know, essentially turn it, you know, press a button to turn it on and off again. Here, you always had to kind of unplug and replug. Again, there's still a little bit of quirkiness on the graphics there on the display, but we'll just have to well, we can live with it. The next game we're going to play is from 1985. So it's a game called Doomdark's Revenge. We're going to start loading it now. So Doomdark's Revenge is the second of a planned trilogy of games by Mike Singleton. The first being The Lords of Midnight, which was just amazing. Doomdark's Revenge, also amazing. The third game, I think, was called The Eye of the Citadel, but I don't think that was ever developed or released, at least. I never played it, certainly. These games were amazing, you know, completely brilliant. You can actually get them now for the PC, or for emulators anyway. You can get them, but you can get them, I think, on Android versions. I think I have an Android version of Lords of Midnight on my phone, but I never play. But anyway, not very action related. It's more like a kind of a turn-based role-playing game in the sense you'd have to go through and explore. I mean, I love that when you hear that note and the colours come through. Just brilliant, so cool. Anyway, Doomdark's Revenge. You know, they used to come with a complete booklet. In fact, they also came with a, let me see here, keyboard overlay. If I got this, so this is the booklet from Lords of Midnight, at least. It also came with a keyboard overlay, which I'll kind of keep open there, so you'd put it on you know, over your keyboard, and you'd know where you could, you know, the various commands that you could perform. You also switch between the characters, and you know, there's different ways of playing the game as well. You could either play it as a war game where you'd kind of attack, you know, you'd attack various armies, or you could play it by splitting up your characters and moving them around and exploring and doing different things. So there's different ways of solving the game. For me, I don't think I ever actually got through it, either of them, but I spent many hours playing them, and for me they were just superb, absolutely superb. So yes, so that's I did have Lords of Midnight. I do have Lords of Midnight here, and I did try and load it, but for some reason it had some weird request to input a password. I have a funny feeling it wasn't a kosher version, or there was something not right about it, because I couldn't find any reference to sort of copy protection on the web now. So I think that there's just something wrong with it. So yes, in the end, I've decided to load Doomdark's Revenge, which should give you a feel for what the game is like anyway, and I think that should be enough. So anyway, it's now loading. Should finish now, pretty much. There we go. Luxor the Moon Prince stands at the gate of Varanorn, looking north to the plains of Anvinil. So here we can go kind of north, east, southwest. If I press the buttons, I move through the game. I'm kind of keeping going north there. Am I going north? Maybe I'm not. So there I'm going east. Anyway, so you basically explore this whole place. You know, I don't know if I can switch between different characters now. So here I'm Tarathel the Fae, and then you come across other people that you have to fight. You once you get to nighttime, you have to. So this is Rawthron the Wise. You will sleep. You'll battle. I don't know if I'm actually moving forward there. Sometimes the movement is very gradual, or maybe it's just that I'm blocked there. But yeah, anyway, this is Doomdark's Revenge. So here I'm, so moving. I'm not sure what's going on there. Anyway, a completely brilliant sequence of games. Not very, dynamic, of course. You're going from screen to screen, yet totally brilliant and totally absorbing. All right, so that I think will do for Doomdark's Revenge. Next is a version of a game that we have played already, except I talked about it at least. It was released by Ocean Software around the same time as let's see, is this gonna? Yeah. No, that's not good. Yeah, we've got that slight graphics quirk where everything's a little bit blue. But anyway, let's carry on. It's not perfect, but it'll do. The next game is Batman. So this was the Spectrum version of Batman. The Commodore 64 and the Amiga versions, I guess, were very, very different. And then there's been various versions of the game over the years. But this was an interesting one in the sense it was... the look was very different, but it's a style of game that I wanted to sort of show. I'm going to get myself in trouble. Let me just stop this and start over. Right, perfect. That looks good. Okay. So, Batman, again, 1986 by Ocean Software. At the time, there was the Commodore 64 version, which is kind of like a side-scrolling, climbing, platformer type game. Whereas this is very, very different, and this kind of indicative of a bunch of games that were kind of out around that time that were really enjoyable. So it was an isometric arcade adventure, arcade adventure. Anyway, basically it's an isometric view, and you'd go from screen to screen. I really enjoyed Batman. I also really enjoyed games like Sweevo's World was another one that I mentioned a few times before. But this was really quite superb. Anyway, it's going to take a little while to load. We'll let the graphics come up, which is always just fantastic. Anyway, I'll fast forward the rest of this loading because it's going to be loading for another 3 or 4 minutes, and then we can play the game. Okay, so now we're going to use a keyboard joystick. I mean, actually, for the next game, the last game, I'll load an actual joystick. I was going to put it on for this game, but totally forgot. So we're going to use normal keys. We're not going to use a joystick. So let's go Enter and then select the keys. How do we actually do that? So if I go down, select the keys, left, right. So I'm kind of a QAOP kind of guy. So let's go left. Oops. What's going on there? Q. Yeah, all right. So I can see their QAOP are listed. So I'm actually okay. Jump should be space bar. Space M. M is there. All right. Awesome. So I think we're okay. Carry is shift or space. 1. Anyway, I think that's all right. Let's try this. So here we go, Batman. So he's wandering around here, going into different rooms. Oh, got killed. All right. So there, I can't remember. Did it say I could jump? All right. Anyway, I've managed to get through, avoiding them. Oop. Okay, Batman. So yeah, I mean, there's probably. I'm just wandering around just so you can see different rooms, rather than actually. Whoa! I'm not going to go in that room. Can I do something? Shift. Can fire. Anyway, maybe I need to pick up some weapons of some sort. Ah, that's an interesting one. So there, let's see. I have. Oops. Yeah, because I've come down into there, I don't think that I can get back out unless maybe there is a. I forgot how to jump. That's my problem. Anyway, Batman. I love this style of game. There's a number of them out. Look at that, conveyor belts. Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. So I won't kind of play this. It's going to kill me anyway. All right, that was Batman. So I think I'll call it there for this one. Again, awesome game. Loved it. I remember this is one that I actually bought. I didn't. This. It does sound awful, but anyway, it was the times. All right, next we are going to load, and actually before I do that, let me plug in the joystick just so you can see. So I have a couple of Sinclair joysticks, well, Sinclair compatible joysticks. This is actually a Sinclair joystick, but for some reason it didn't work when I tried it, at least not with this adapter. But this is a Cheetah joystick adapter for the ZX Spectrum. It is just slots into the expansion port at the back. Even with the Spectrum Plus, there was no joystick port. It's kind of crazy, really, that there was no integrated joystick. What you'd have to do is slot this unwieldy thing into the port at the back of the computer, and then that would be how you'd access the joystick. You'd essentially be loaded from there. I'm going to be unlucky with the screen again now that I've unplugged it and plugged it back in. But that's just how it is. Let's see, am I going to be lucky? When it comes up black with the white border, then you know you're in good shape. But otherwise, it's a little unpredictable in terms of how the graphics are going to be. I'm not really sure whether it's the computer. I mean, these computers, there comes a point where you need to go through and kind of recap them, as they say, which is, replace all the capacitors. This is not something that I think has been done on, I'm almost certain it hasn't been done on this machine. So it is, it's going to be unpredictable. We were lucky, I thought we were lucky there, but then of course when I put the joystick pack in, I had to turn it off. Anyway, all right, I'm just going to go ahead. Not the best, but there it is. The last game is a fighting game called Yia Kung Fu. So this is another, you know, kung fu game, which was one that I played quite a bit back in the day, I suppose. I can't remember anything about how to play it, but I thought we'd load it up. The other one was The Way of the Exploding Fist, which I think is something that was, I mean, these are probably were both available for the Commodore as well as the ZX Spectrum, but I played Yao Kung Fu particularly myself, and on the Spectrum, of course. And that's the last game we're going to play for this week's episode, which is already going to be a really long one, I know. But those are the selection of kind of 5 games. This one was from, this one actually was from '85, so it predated the Batman game, or you know what we saw there with Batman. So the image here is clearly very blue. I can fiddle around with this a bit more, but it's probably just going to lead to more problems with seeing. You know, if I unplug it now, then it's going to cause an issue. Anyway, I'll fast forward for the rest of the loading. Okay, so let's see. Keyboard, no, Kempston joystick, I suppose. I think this is a Kempston joystick. Let's go with that, and then 1 player start. Again, graphics are a little bit not great because of the, you know, anyway, not ideal this time. So there we are. You can kind of see me jumping. You can see the strike there. Oh, I just got him. All right, perfect. Stage 2, different opponent. Oh. Got me. All right, again, just not quite right with the graphics, but let's see if there's yeah, it's now that it may just be a bit too warm as well. That's also possible. Anyway, you can see when you do see it, you see kind of red hits for where I hit, and then green hits for where the opponent hits. Okay, I think we're going to call it a day. I think we've seen enough games. I'm sorry that the last game the graphics didn't quite work out so well. I'll turn down the volume now. So that was Floppy Friday 48 in honor of the ZX Spectrum 48K, and also in memory of Sir Clive Sinclair, and dedicated to his legacy and his memory. So thank you very much for joining us, for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Okay, bye.